Oh, man. Welcome back to the Bees Like That podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris. I just watched a video. I think it was a TikTok video, but it was displayed on Facebook. In this video, there was an individual, a woman, being interviewed. And this kind of content is pretty popular right now. I'm not really sure where I land on it. Some of it seems kind of exploitative, but whatever. Anyway, in this video, this woman is describing something that's familiar to addicts overall. And that is, many of us have understood for a while that our solution, at least in the beginning, is very effective at dulling pain and allowing us to push aside or set aside or push down the more painful bits of trauma, or our lived experiences. I can tell you that the first time that I tried alcohol when I was about 9 or 10, probably closer to 10, but I don't know if that matters. Too young. I remember being in this bathroom after having maybe probably half of a wine cooler. They don't sell those anymore. Not that I see regularly. They still might, but I don't see them anymore. But anyway, I'd had half of one. And I remember looking in the mirror, and until that point, and I've shared this before, until that point, I not liked my reflection too much. Usually when I look in the mirror, I would hate my haircut. I would hate my hair. I didn't know. I had this big mop of curly, nappy, tangled hair that I didn't know what to do with. That was something that, my dad would always just pick it out. Dad, none of my friends have afros. I don't want to wear an afro. Of all the ways that I continue to stand out, I don't want to add to the list with an afro. Anyway, I remember looking in the mirror and feeling handsome, funny, and not any of the ways that I usually did when I saw my reflection. And that was nice, and I liked it. And in that moment, granted, I was a little guy, I didn't understand what was happening. I just understood clearly that I'd had this drink, gotten this feeling or response from it, and I liked it. So, a star was born, so they say. What I'm talking about or connecting to again is our solution, whether it be whatever your drug of choice, doesn't matter, but a reprieve from that psychological, kind of train wreck. The trick of it, the devious nature that alcohol or drugs has in this regard is particularly sinister, right? So it works tremendously well at blocking out and creating for you, albeit temporarily, this false reality and version of yourself that's, again, funny, witty, charming, fun to be around. You know what I'm saying? You feel smart. Yeah, I don't know for some of us that's necessarily true, but just based on some of the shit we do when we're getting loaded. But anyway, what happens is there comes a point when that doesn't happen anymore, right? And I think that, I don't know, just watching this little snippet, maybe minute, 30-second video of this individual describing this experience for themselves. She's crying. And that was my first signal, right? That It's not numbing anymore. It's not working anymore. It may briefly in the moment, but what happens universally to almost all of us is, unless you just have like a steady diet and you never start to come down and you never have, or you never experience any kind of withdrawal or any of that. But even if you don't, we learn. You know, even if we're loaded, we're continually learning. Our environment and experiences are feeding us and informing our perspective and vision of the world. But anyway, she's crying in this video and she's saying, like, that's the thing about fentanyl is, you know, the question was asked, I've lost everything. And she's detailing when she's clearly high in the video. If you recognize the physical cues, like she's under the influence, probably fentanyl or another opiate. But she's in real time detailing for the audience or the camera interviewer all the things she's lost, and she's becoming emotional, she's crying. That signals to me that she's high and it's stopped. The all-encompassing numbing effect, that total numbing effect of our pain attached to the world in our lives isn't working the way it used to, right? So now, not only has our tolerance gotten to a place where a typical person not impacted by addiction would die of an overdose on a fraction of what we use as maintenance. But it's also not working anymore. You know, right? Like the loaded or the high or the euphoric experience that we had even, you know, a year, 6 months to a year ago isn't present anymore. The same thing happened to me. Don't get me wrong, it does still have the desired effect. It's just that now we have, this is the evil part. Our addiction, this is how it traps us. Sorry to kind of go in a circle here, but I'm looking for a good way to describe this that people will understand. Especially people who are adjacent to this experience and don't get it. But this is how our addiction traps us. This is how the devil fools us into thinking that this is a safe place for us. It offers this ultimate comfort and relief from all the things we just talked about. And then slowly it'll start, when I say it's not effective anymore, it's because slowly what starts to happen is we learn again in this environment, and our addiction reveals to us, it just starts to open the curtain again and shows you. Right? And it shows you by way of, you don't lose it, you give it away. Being unsheltered, so people say, oh, I lost my house, so now you're homeless. I lost my family, right? So I've experienced both legal and financial problems. It just seems like they just won't stop. And yeah, when you're out there moving, you know, you're in the mix, you know, police who are directly involved with this population of people, they get to know and have grudges. They're humans too, and they will target certain people. They know where you're going to be. They know the people you kick it with, known associates, etc. So yeah, it can feel like you're being targeted a lot of times because you are. But anyway, this is our addiction revealing to us again the wreckage in real time that we're creating, or that we've created, and it is like chasing your tail that you've already swallowed, looking for just a glimpse of that relief once again, and never finding it. And I, on social media, shared an image, an AI generated image of a rose growing from concrete, and referenced Tupac's poem, A Rose That Grew from Concrete. And at the end of that, I talked about a very real point in my life, very serious point in my life, where I would pray, God, please don't wake me up tomorrow. I can't anymore. This is too much. I don't want this anymore. And mind you, I share that while I'm laying there on any and as many drugs as I could get my hands on, and tons and tons of booze. So by all means, the expectation should be that those feelings and thoughts shouldn't be there, but they were. I don't know that I'm unique in that way, but you know, looking at that experience, and then here we go. Hi. Hi. I'm recording. You want to come over here? Come this way. Come this way. Can we turn this off for a second?
Yeah.
Here, push pause on there. Push pause on the button. Let me see. Go like that. And put your phone right here. Okay, you want to come up here with me?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Come here. Oh! And then, so Daddy's talking to this camera right here. See? Right there. So, and in that statement, I said, you know, that I felt like I'd had enough, and I couldn't take any more. God, higher power, whatever universe you want to call it, creator, showed me that I'd not even come close, and you know, revealed over time to me my purpose. This being one of them. This little nugget right here. This little tingy tink. If the request of my higher power, my request of my higher power had been granted to me, or any of the attempts on my own life had been successful, this little person wouldn't have had a shot at the life that she has right now. The coolest part is, in at least her life, she'll never know that version of Dad. You know, she's 3. She gets to come to my bodybuilding competitions. You know, I get to be there for her stuff. She doesn't have a lot of stuff going on because she's 3. But the point is, circling back to in the perceived failure of the solution when it's actually not a failure. You can recognize growth even in that circumstance, that someone or something is knocking on the door to your heart and saying, hey, listen, I need you to take stock of the stuff that you're giving away. You know, we like to say that we lose things, especially within the context of active addiction. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I think that, you know, the choices that we make, they can feel like they're not choices at all, but in fact they are. And I can speak as a lived expert on this because I banged my head against this wall for years until I made the choice to set aside those things and allow myself to be led by a higher cause and a higher purpose, and actively participate in the changes that I wanted to see in my life and in the world, and live the advice that I gave people, and let my behaviors not be betrayed by my words. Right? So what's that mean? It means that I live the life that I talk about. And we're super grateful for all the opportunities to have time for people like this, for people like you. And, you know, it's and I'm getting off track here, but it's hard for me to bring new people into my life because I'm so protective and careful with the access that I allow any one or group of individuals because it's so valuable to me. I don't have any desire to train a bunch of strays on how to interact and experience us in our life, right? Like, hey, don't touch. If you want to come and be a part of this, you gotta like, your energy got to be right. If your energy's off in any way, you could probably be friends with my wife and the dog, but you're not going to get close to me. But back to the solution and the truth behind what you actually accomplish. And we've talked about this many, many times on the podcast. And if you're at all close to any kind of program, 12-step recovery program or support program, whatever, you know that, and I know this, that these issues and crisis-driven lifestyles are fully refundable, and it only takes one simple action. Which seems okay. Let me back up. It seems like it's only one. It seems like it's just the act of the first use or the first drug, but you start to relapse emotionally and psychologically long before the physical act of drinking or taking a drug happens, right? And if you're a less self-aware person, or you're not optimally self-aware and in tune with yourself, you can shut out a lot of the signals that might come your way, and because you want naturally to do well, you want to be perceived as a person. Why are you making that face? Why are you making that face? Why are you making that face? You're making that face. Who's that? You want to be perceived as a person who's doing well and who's not weak. But let me tell you that there's a ton of power and restraint found in vulnerability. I was just talking about this yesterday. If I wake up and I feel off for whatever reason, it's usually in the form of anxiety, and I have to do a little bit of reflection to figure out where these feelings are coming from. But it can come from anywhere. It can come from having an unscheduled day off from the gym or from work. Just that deviation from the schedule, because us addicts and alcoholics are creatures of habit, and routine is very important to us. Because that predictability we learn to count on. But if I'm not in tune with that, I'm not actively checking in with myself, I'm not taking stock and inventory in how I feel, and I'm just bullheadedly pushing through like I've done before, then I would likely revert back to not being able to stay clean and sober, and ultimately be led down a path of frustration connected to a cycle of dependence on substances and relapsing and going to detox again, and all this nasty mix of the community guidelines. Pipes, what are you doing? Flipping the camera off, dog, you little sucker. But I was inspired by that video to stop, reflect, and then highlight something. Not that I expect this person to see the video, but if you're a person who continues to say that your solution, the reason why you continue to get loaded, is because it numbs everything for you, but you can detail for me or another person exactly what it is that you've given away to your addiction, I want you to ask yourself just how effective that solution has remained at numbing those feelings, right? Because over time, what will happen is, and any addict recognizes this, I don't give a damn who you are. Over time, what happens is you just wake up to get well. That's what 100% of your time is dedicated to. And so that's what you prioritize. And until we choose, like when I chose to prioritize something greater than myself, and the people who were greater than myself at the time were my kids. The proposition of being a dad and the man that I knew I could be, or that I should be, or that God had planned for me to be, that was something that I would hold on to. And ultimately, that in combination with a bunch of other shit led me to being able to lead the life that I live today and having just a typical regular ass life. What I call regular people problems. I was just today it's a week. We're a week out from our last show, and you know that I have some stuff, you know, in my life that has to do with other people that are integral, you know, and important parts to that part of the process. You know that are there's a degree of concern there that is really really troubling, because when people are impactful in your life, you care about what happens to them, and you want to do well for them and perform well. And if something is happening to them, it matters to you if you're a good person. Where I'm going with that is like we're a week out, and I'm still recovering from prep and all that shit. And so the diet has been, you know, I want to say 80-20, but it's been more like, and it may be on certain days. But the thing that struck me this morning was like, man, coach would be disappointed if they knew that I was struggling with this part of it. And I was like, wait, I don't know, would they? I think that they would probably give me some solid guidance and show me some grace. And I would, and in that moment I was like, man, it just hit me like I was rinsing out a dish after making this one some food. He's making funny faces. It just hit me like I've got over a year to prepare for the shows that we have plotted out for the next competitive season. So a week out from the show, I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace and not act like a freaking machine, right? You know, we're goal oriented. We got shit tracking well. You know, the water has come off. I'm a little softer, but that's to be expected. And we're rolling around, you know, hovering just under or about at maintenance, which is where we want to be. But I'm so grateful that like, even like leading into this show, like I never would have thought that over that period of time and then to now that I would make connections to, you know, athletes in the sport who are competitive at like a really really high level, you know, and just to even if they're not like whatever friendships in the I guess, I mean, whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm just trying to be humble and thoughtful and considerate. But me being this recovering person who come from where I come from, went through what I went through, comparing now my life experience, having a great wife and awesome kids, and you know, the ability to compete pretty well, I guess, at a sport that I loved for a long time. Like, focusing on those things is important. And man, just living life, so much fun. And if you pay attention to what your addiction is showing you, if you are able and willing to play that tape all the way through on the possibility side, on the hope side, you'll see that just like that rose that grew out of concrete, you're resilient, you're powerful, you're beautiful, and your life can take such a dramatic turn and be such a significant departure from what it is right now. Even just like 6 months to a year from now, you'll be amazed. You'll be freaking amazed. And God gives you, among the things that God gives you that is so awesome, is time and, you know, the ability to be who you need to be for little crumb snatchers like this who like to invade Daddy's podcast and come in and sit so quietly and politely. Why are you being so quiet? You want to say something? Look it right there. Say hello. Say hello. Say, my name is Piper Lou. You gonna say your name? No? Are you being shy? Can you say? Can you say if you didn't do it on the way in, do it on the way out? Hit that like, subscribe, and post notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the cool, fun, wacky stuff we talk about here on the Bees Like That podcast. Peace, y'all.